Plasterer.
Good evening and welcome to Ask the Plasterer with me, Eric the Plasterer. Welcome to, what's that?
Ask the Plasterer.
Yeah, with me, Eric the Plasterer. Good evening and welcome to Ask the Plasterer. With me, Eric the Plasterer. Yeah, just to make sure you're absolutely sure for what channel you're on and what you're watching. Hi, my name's Eric the Plasterer. I've been a plasterer for 37 years in South London. And I'm here to answer any of your plastering related questions. We've got a lot of the regular guys that come along every other Monday from 7 o'clock. We normally go on for about an hour and a half, so you can dip in and dip out as whatever's good for you. I want to say well done, Anthony Parry Plastering, for tipping your 1,000 subscribers, mate. Good on you, well deserved. A lot of work goes into those videos you put out, mate. So if any of you want to follow or subscribe to Anthony Parry Plastering, his channel is out there, so take a look and click that old subscribe button. Hey, right, yeah. So this evening, whether you are a time-served plasterer, whether you are a newbie or a DIYer, or even a customer, and you want to ask any plastering-related questions, you can ask me, and I will do my best to answer those questions for you. You'll also be able to ring into the studio on. Hold on, let's just change the old screen. This one? Yes, on 07516 214 983, 07516 214 983, and have a chat with me live in the studio, which is not in the underground, but it's very near. And hopefully, last week when I had this this background, it also had sound on it that I didn't realise was playing, and no one could hear me talking over the noise of the trains. But hopefully this week I've sorted that out. And if I haven't, please let me know. Evening, Diggity. Nice to see you, mate. Yeah, very good evening to you, sir. Welcome along, welcome along. Now, it's not like you to be here first either, is it, normally? Good on you. I'm proud, mate, proud. Gets me right there. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, so you can ring in, you can put your questions up on this bit over here. And, yeah. Sorry, this bit over here. Went with me out, but you can't see it on this bit here. If you do ring in, you probably only ring me if you're watching this on the TV. There is a time difference, so if you are watching this on TV and you want to call me, you need to turn your sound down because of the time delay. But other than that, yeah, feel free to type me a question or to ring in and ask a question, and I'll be more than happy to try and answer it. So what have we got here? Lovely weather. Oh, I was meant to change that. Yeah. It's still quite nice weather, isn't it? The weather's been fairly reasonable, but winter's drawing in, people, and yeah, not looking forward to the winter. But work's busy. The question I've asked this evening as well is, are we all busy? So far, the tradesmen I've talked to, not just plasterers, but whether they're kitchen fitters or carpenters, any kind of painters and decorators, they all seem to be absolutely jam-packed with work, which is, including myself, it's fantastic. But yeah, I just wondered if that was the same for everybody, or if there are different parts of the country where some of you guys are watching from, where work's not so 50 at the minute. Yeah, let us know. Let us know. So let's have another quick change of scenery. If you're feeling in relaxed mood, you can have a little float on the clouds, have a chat. I don't know, I've got a gap in me. I've got a gap in my screen. That one too. Excuse me, just one moment. Has it gone? Ah, more or less. That'll do. That'll do. Skim life outdoors, evening. Why are we getting one coat, lads? Getting prayerful throwing those on. Oh, type that again, mate. Yeah, I didn't quite make sense. I'm normally full of chit chat, but I'm absolutely knackered. Not because I've been working hard, but yeah, I've been away the weekend, and I'd forgotten I was meant to be going to a family lunch today at about 1 o'clock, and but I was currently in Chichester, so I had to leave a bit promptly to get back in time to do that. And not been back from then for about 5 minutes, and now we're up here doing Ask the Plasterer, and I'm in the food department. I'm completely stuffed and feel a little bit sleepy. I might not be quite my sprightly self, but I try my best. Right, Skim Life Outdoors. Evening, mate. Let's start again. Yeah, what was your question? Something about the one coaters. Right, this evening. We normally go on for about an hour and a half. God willing, if we're fairly busy. If it's quiet, it might be a 10-minute job, but we'll see how we go. Normally, I think it's going to be a little bit quiet at the beginning, and suddenly it picks up, and can't quite follow the questions because I'm a bit rubbish at reading stuff off the screen. Right, okay, where are we? My question is, why do these one coat lads get praised for throwing loads on at poor quality? That was me. The work's terrible. Well, it depends, Skim Life, on your viewpoint. It's all about customer satisfaction. And if a guy can put, I know it's not the done thing. I know it's not the way it's done by the book, and it should be all plastering should be a two-coat affair. Some people argue plastering should just be a Hawk and Trowel affair, and none of these speed skims and all that malarkey. But times change. Some guys love them. Some guys hate them. If a guy can put on a single coat, and as far as he and the customer, especially the customer, is concerned, evening, Bucky, at the end of the day, if they're happy with it, and when it's painted, it's flat and it's smooth, I've got no argument with them, to be honest with you, but I understand what you're saying. But you'd have to literally go and see a guy's work after he's put on a one coat, and sort of... they'd have to ask you, is this a one coat or a two coat? And if you could answer correctly whether it was a one or two coat, then you've got a point, mate. But if you couldn't tell, then yeah. But yeah, you might be seeing some terrible plastering, but that don't necessarily mean it was one coat. I've seen guys do more, like do the proper two coats and all sorts of stuff. But at the end of the day, if they just haven't got the experience and their troweling is not up to scratch, their ruling off not up to scratch, then it's going to be. It's going to be rough, whether it's one or two coats. If you're a really good plasterer, you can make one coat look good, even though that's not the way it's meant to be done. But I stick generally to traditional stuff, but I've been caught out on the odd occasion, and I finished something off with one coat. I'm not going to, as long as it looks quality at the end of the day, and the customer's happy, then I'm not going to start all over again. So I can do a two-coat job instead of the one. And I don't know about you, Skim Life, but I do. I was taught when I started plastering that my second coat is knocked up from what's left of my first coat. I'd thin it down, what was left of that, and then use that as the tight second coat to flatten out. And after flattening out, then obviously as it gets to the right point, trowel it up. Again, there was no speed skims or any of that old stuff back then, but I use those now. Just easier on your joints. Don't know if you're a speed skim man or not. Also additives. I never used to use additives up to about 6 months ago. And now I put stuff in to slow it down just because I'm getting old and I can't be bothered to rush as much as I used to. I don't work weekends anymore, and that's another thing I don't do is just try and work too hard if I can help it. And the minute people are so busy, you can be a bit more fussy and choosy about the kind of work you're taking on. And if you're sorting out your work-life balance properly, you shouldn't be working weekends, guys. Shouldn't be working weekends. Not unless you're a right young whippersnapper and you just don't want to do anything else except go to work 7 days a week. Matthew, yeah, evening, Matthew. Two coats for show, one coat for dough is what they say, is it? First I ever heard. Oh dear. I mean, I've said before, I give my opinions on plastering and what I've done for the last 37 years, or what I've learned in that time. But there's no absolutely right way that you must do something. you can put plaster on, you can do a good job, and it looks pucker at the end. The customer's more than happy. Then I haven't got an argument with that. I'm a neat PVA man. I use neat PVA. I let it dry completely. I don't leave it tacky. I don't use SPO. I don't use all the grit because, in my opinion, it's a load of old rubbish. But that's only my opinion. But I don't. If guys want to spend money on SPR and grit and all the rest of it, and they're happy to use that, and that's what they like doing, then you go ahead and do that. But I know what's worked for me, so that's generally what I will suggest probably. But I don't say it's gospel, and if you should do it my way, you're doing it wrong. But so I don't know if that answers your question or not. I always make the same money whether I put on a coating 2 goes or 1. Ashley, hello mate. Try your best, caulk the rest. I do. I mean, I caulk if I'm just doing a ceiling in someone's place and I'm not touching the walls. I will caulk around the edge of it just because it looks nicer. There's a nice white line around the edge. Makes it look tops rather than just having that kind of button in and then you've sponged it clean or whatever, but it doesn't look as neat as if you've got a nice sharp white line around it at the end. I don't always do it. If I'm pushed for time, I probably won't. If I'm not, I will. But you shouldn't be doing like 1 coats for anybody. Not that if they're paying, if it looks rubbish at the end, well, you shouldn't be doing 2 coats and charging for it if it looks rubbish at the end. But well, I'm here as usual. I shall plug the Ask the Plasterer community. We got up there all my videos have got a link in the description. Click on that and you'll get an invite to the community, and you can chat to me and a lot of the other guys on there as well. We put pictures out, we talk to each other about stuff, ask different questions, a bit whether it's about tools, whether it's about jobs we're on, any advice we might need, and we more or less chat with each other 7 days a week if you want to, rather than waiting for us the plasterers to come around or just making comments on any of my videos in the description. But Matthew, worked with some 1-coat warriors for a couple of years on board, painted. You could never tell. Weren't always the best on reskims though. I found a lot of plasterers now are guys that can skim plasterboard, and fair enough for a lot of guys. That's how they want to start out, and if they make a point that is all they do, then that's absolutely fine. But so when I started, obviously they teach you everything that you need to know, whether it's rendering or whether it's any of the like Carlite type plasters. But you can't. I've lost me thread. Old. Because I'm tired. You'd have to like float and set a brick wall. Now when people see a brick wall, it seems to be, I'll dot and dab that, stick plasterboards on it, and then I'll skim it. Whereas I would look at a wall and go, if it's bricks, and go, I'll float that with bonding, whatever, and then I'll skim it. But a lot of guys, they can skim board, but they can't float a wall and rule it off and get it flat and level, and then skim all that and make it beautiful. But as I say, at the end of the day, the finished result is what you're getting paid for. A customer doesn't give a damn about your technique, because generally a customer hasn't got a clue what the technique is, whether it's by the book or not by the book. So if it's a quality job, personally, after 37 years, I don't care how you did it. If it's nice and smooth and it's flat, and I can look at it close up and I can shine a light up it, even when it's painted and it looks great, what's the beef? What's the argument? I ain't got one. So yeah. No, some guys can do some stuff better than others, but ain't it always been the same way? And there's always going to be proper cowboys out there that can generally tell a cowboy, because of the absolute state of the job when it's apparently finished, if they finish it, and the state of the plaster that they've left all over the floor and all their rubbish that they've just basically left outside on the customer's driveway and just grabs cash. Funnily enough, they wanted cash, and they're off, and they're never seen again. But they don't get recommendations or work through word of mouth, obviously. But yeah, and if you're good, if customers are happy with you, you do well, you make money. Simple as that. At the end of the day, yeah, it's an art form, but you're doing it for a living. You're doing it to pay for your mortgage, kids for your clothes. Kids for your clothes? No, clothes for your kids. And all the rest of it. Dear. Right, if anybody wants to ring in, you can call on 07516 214 983, 07516 214 983, and chat to me on the telly box. Yes. Give us your view on any particular tools that you think are fantastic or that you don't like. One of the guys today on the community server, the Discord server, was talking about a screwdriver for sticking up boards. So you can pump the old screws in nice and quick, and whether they're a good idea, sometimes they get jammed and that kind of stuff, which occasionally they do, depending on which type you've got and how long the screws are that you're using. But no, they were great, but when I had one, I had a Makita, and I found I was pumping so many screws into a board because I could. I was getting through thousands of screws and putting in far more than you're meant to or you need to hold stuff up. But yeah, so when it finally packed up, as much as I loved it, I just went back to using an impact driver for my fixing. But again, it depends on what kind of outfit you're running, whether you're a one-man band, how fast you're trying to get a job done. And yeah, was there a question? Or am I just waffling off my own back here? That worked with someone, Cope was a couple of years, or work painted, you could never tell. Weren't always the best. Oh yeah, sorry mate, I've read that already. Coots, hello James. Alright mate, by the way, 1200 speed skin was great for bonding out the kitchen. Brilliant mate, brilliant. Yeah, you asked about that last time, didn't you? So, yeah, I used my 1200 the other day on. I don't think I stuck it on here. I stuck it on the server. I just had one water skim, which is lovely. That's my kind of job. Skim one wall, relaxing after that nightmare of a hallway. That one I was doing. I popped that on there tonight. Man, that was something else. It's like a lot of hall stairs and landings. The ceiling wasn't very big, but it was so high. After the customers just realised it was hidden underneath false sloping ceiling there going down the stairs, and when that was all ripped off, it revealed this huge void up in the air. But well, if you watch the video, you'll see, if you've not watched it already, see what that was all about. But yeah, those kind of jobs. Oh man. When you're younger, that probably doesn't bother you, but as you get older, you just look at them and think, oh, can you get up there all right? And you think, well, I can, it's doable, but it's just a job I'd rather not have to do if I don't have to. But it all got done in the end, and yeah, they were happy, and I was just happy it was finished. And that my next job was a one-wall skim. It was very relaxing in comparison. So, yeah. Yeah, I think James was asking last time about ruling off bonding. He was doing a kitchen with a 1200 mil speed skim instead of using like a Derby or a straight edge. And I've started to do that. I used to use a Derby or a long feather edge for ruling off stuff like that. But since I've been using the speed skim, I've been using it for that as well. Plastic blade, obviously, not metal, not the thin, flexible metal one. Matthew, why is there such a shortage of plasterers at the moment? I've no idea about that, mate. I don't know if a lot of people going back the last few years, because obviously it takes a while to train up to be a decent plasterer, and a lot of people were doing academic stuff, even if they weren't really academic. Because old, what was his name? The last Prime Minister before Boris. No, not Fanny Ann. Blair. Yeah, Tony Blair. It was kind of like, oh, everyone should be able to go to university. That's it, not college. And a lot of people thinking, well, yeah, I want to do that. I don't want to be some kind of laboury type working tradesman job, like with some like with some kind of scum a little bit. When all out of the trades without them, but people would have nowhere to live. They'd have no houses built, and they wouldn't look very nice inside. They'd just be painted. Well, if there's any decorators, just be painted brick. But plastering, as plasterers know, is an art form. So I'm always being told. And but yeah, Matt, why plasterers are just a bit tight on the ground? Well, why lorry drivers are a bit tight on the ground at the minute? I mean, there might have been quite a few people from overseas doing plastering, but it never had any real effect on my workload. And some of them were rubbish, as are some English plasterers, and some of them were really good. And plus, I worked for a lot of Polish people, which I always found odd, because I thought, I thought you might be getting in another Polish tradesman, because kinsman spirit and all that, and possibly cheaper. But they still get me to do their job. So yeah. But no, I mean, it's not good for the customer, but it's good for us at the minute, because work, I don't know how long it's going to last, or if it's just going to keep a steady flow going. But at the moment, the amount of work is ridiculous. I think the old sites like Rated People and Trust a Trader and Checker Trade, they're all a bit like, giving offers and stuff out, because apart from the guys that have already paid, if you've got lines of work piling in, you're not going to pay them £1,100 to put you on their website and to kind of plug your plastering. Well, they don't really plug it, do they? But they plug their company, and but again, because they're middlemen, and if you don't need the middlemen, then obviously their company starts to suffer, or they lose profits. But at the minute, it's like it should be. If you're good at anything you do, as a tradesman, you should be getting that. You should be getting that work in. You do the job for the customer pays you. There shouldn't be a middleman to have to cough up money to be able to work for that customer. But sometimes when you're starting out, and when work has been quiet in the past, because I've done Rated People a long while back, and I've also done Trust a Trader, but I'm not with them currently, and hopefully I won't have to be with any of them at any point anytime soon, because work has to get fairly tight for you to start having to do that. Hey, did you try Checker Trade? No, I didn't try Checker Trade. Checker Trade did offer me, sort of said, you can pay it. You could have 3 months for free or whatever it was, and you could pay it monthly, which was a good deal. And I think at the time it was cheaper than Trust a Trader. But because work was coming in anyway, I kind of just couldn't be bothered. Plus, I didn't want to be coughing up the money even on a monthly basis if there was no reason to. There's nothing worse than having so much work that you're snowed under, and then getting more people ringing you from Trust a Trader or from Rated People. No, I'm not Rated People ringing it, or any of those guys, because you get enough work in anyway. So it's kind of, you can only fit so much in. Customers I found now customers are waiting a lot longer for me than they would have possibly done in the past. Because they can't get anybody, and if they can, they might be a bit dubious as to whether they're any good. If you've got any kind of reputation at all, and plasterers are tight or hard to get hold of, people will book you in, and sort of, for months in advance, just to make sure that they can get you to do it, because they know that once they've waited for ages for you to come, that they will get a job. Whereas they could also wait months for someone they ain't got a clue about really, and end up with a rubbish job, even though they've waited all that time for a plasterer to come. So, James, my 13-inch Marshalltown is like 13 years old, starting to look like a banana. Oh, that's lovely. That's well worn in then, mate. But it's really worn in. Is it bad to try sand it back to get it square? Oh, don't do that, mate. No, you don't. No, if it's worn in that much that it's got a real curve on it, you don't want to try and get it back to square. If you need, I mean, I would say get another trowel, get another 13-inch Marshall trowel. If you like the 13-inch Marshall trowel, and start to wear that in on a bit of sand cement work, or if you get a carbon one, you can sand them down really easy. Let it rust a little bit and sands down even easier. Then sand the rust off, comes up a treat, sharp as a razor. But yeah, no, don't try and do anything with a really nice worn-in trowel to get it square again, because you'll make something go wrong with it, and it won't work, and it'll start digging holes in your work or grooves or whatever, and you don't want that. So no, they're a pucker trowel, Marshalltown. I've got to say, I've been using them for donkeys, and the flexes, now great. I always finish off my work with the flexible at the end, just to give you that extra little bit of zhuzh, as it's known in the trade, isn't it, lads? Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. So a change of scenery. Right. For anyone that's just joined us, I'm Eric the Plasterer. This is Ask the Plasterer. I've been a plasterer in South London for the last 37 years, and I've done mostly domestics for the last 15 years or so, but prior to that I did work on sites, and I've worked for numerous builders, and lots of tales to tell there. But if there's anything specific you want to ask me, as I say, I don't know what the rules are on sites now, because they've changed so much since I was last on site. But I just found that eventually that there was better money in domestics, and the jobs were generally easier, and you were in and out far quicker, and generally had less opportunity to get knocked. Even if you got not knocked, but your payments start getting delayed. If you're on a big job on site or for a building company, and they've got any issues with their cash flow, then you just have to wait for your money, even though you've got bills to pay. And generally with domestics, that doesn't really become an issue. And like I've said to a lot of guys, if I price up a house for someone, they want the whole house done, I will give them an individual quote basically for every room in the house. And when one room is complete, my payment is due on that room. They transfer that money into my account, and I start on the next room and work my way through the house, and it's worked really well, as it obviously would. Because I want you to crack on with the next room. If you start doing whole houses, generally you should be able to get paid all right at the end or halfway through, or get some kind of stage payments, but I find even that can be risky, and I'd rather spend the minimum amount, which for me will be I will do out a whole room for someone. Let's face it, plaster is cheap. It's the labour and the skill that they're paying for, and yeah, don't have issues really getting knocked. I can probably count on one finger how many times I've been knocked for money. Or it might have been delayed a couple of times, but that was soon sorted out, no problem at all. No worries, James. Mark, evening, mate. Nice to see you. Martin, hi Eric. When using my speed skim, it sometimes drags the plaster. I always wet it first, so am I holding it at the wrong angle? You might be holding it at too sharp an angle, mate, as opposed to keeping it quite flat. Or it might be a bit too soon to be doing it, because if you're wetting it and it's still dragging it off, it's possibly either still too wet and you shouldn't be troweling it yet, and definitely not putting water on it if it's too wet. If it's very dry, if it's gone a little bit too far, then and you're wetting it and it's still dragging, then it's probably dried a little bit more than it needs to. But it's more than likely a little bit of that, but mostly probably the angle that you're holding it at. It's so easy to go a little bit too sharp with it, and it will start pulling it rather than pushing it and flattening it. So yeah, I hope that helps, mate. Competitive Alyssa. Yeah, I haven't seen you for ages, mate. Where you been? What's your worst experience with a customer? A very about 25 years ago, I was doing quite a lot of plastering around the lady's house. Did a whole kitchen. I think I priced to do a patch on the kitchen ceiling, but I was so into it as I was cracking on, I ended up plastering the whole ceiling. It's only when I checked back on the quote, I was just meant to be doing the patch of it. But of course, she was very happy that I'd done the whole ceiling. But that was back in the days when I would still attempt to lay a sand cement screened floor, which I did, and I got it like ready mixed with retarders in, and it was tipped outside in the road, because I'd assumed this kind of old cork floor that was in the kitchen I'd lift that up and there'd be some kind of base under that. But when I lifted up the old court floor, it was just solid mud as far down as you'd care to dig. So obviously I had to dig a fair bit of that out before I could start laying the screed in there. I had more than enough screed to refill at a good old depth. But I had to dig out so much that by the time I was digging that out, the day was just whizzing by. That particular customer also had a neighbour that did night shifts that would often sing sweet nothings to me from their window. They weren't sweet nothings, really. Or they became with F and C, stuff like that. But that wasn't the customer. And cut a long story short, it was all done. She had the kitchen put in, and then but the floor was slightly askew, had a bit of a dip in it. And I said, oh, well, if there's anything wrong with it, I'll come back and I'll level it out, and I can level that around. We can go under the kitchen units and then you can put the boards back. And she was kind of fairly insistent. I don't know why, that she didn't want it done that way. She wanted the whole kitchen taken back out, though that was nothing to do with me, and wanted me to redo the whole floor and then the kitchen go back. And obviously she wanted me to pay for having the kitchen taken out, the floor redone, and the kitchen going back again, which I said, I will rectify the floor, but I won't take out or pay to take out your kitchen and put it back again. At the end of the day, she didn't get her wish. If you offer to put something right for anybody in a way that is reasonable, then they don't really have an argument, any kind of legal or technical argument about not paying you or wanting their money back or trying to charge you to have a. I mean, the kitchen fitter basically, if he thought the floor wasn't flat enough, he shouldn't have started just putting it in or putting the whole thing in and then go, "Oh yeah, your floor's a bit wonky." But that was the only big issue, in my opinion, that I ever had, and that was wasn't the first floor I ever laid, but it was the last. And since that day, I've never laid a screed floor. Apart from that issue, it was a pain in the backside doing it. I suppose my floor laying experience at that time wasn't great anyway. But so I stick with it, internal plastering mostly nowadays. Anything that makes my life easier. So that was my worst experience with a customer, as far as I can remember. I've had some experiences with customers where you think, "Are you sure?" Sorry, but they weren't major issues. They were just things that could dumbfound me, or something they would do, or something they would say. I can't believe you just said that. But hey ho. But other than that, no, it's been a good experience for me on the whole. And site work. There was a few issues with site work, not for me personally, from anything wrong with the work, but like one particular company that was starting to go under because they made a few bad decisions on a big job we were doing, and so we had to wait a long time for our money, and then they went under. And I think, well, the rest of them I did still get. I don't know if it was all the money I was meant to get, but I did still get paid a fair amount after they went down. But other than that, no, plastering trade's been pretty good for me over the years. Not really knock it. It's always going to be around. As I say, my opinion on spray plastering is, just watch some of the videos on what you've got to do to prep for spray plastering and all the rest of it, and the machines and the gear and how it works. And in my opinion, it's not plastering, and I can't. That's more faffing about than normal plastering. At the end of the day, the spraying it on bit seems great. Oh yeah, it sprays on really quick, doesn't it? As long as you prepped all your corners and your tapered edges, and you filled all those in first prior and let them go off before you start spraying this gear on and wiping it back off, and maybe spraying on a bit more and wiping it off. But anyway, I'm off in. I'm going off on a bit of a tangent. Right. It's Joe. Hello, Joe. I'll be plastering my first forum this week. Please wish me that. Oh, good luck, Joe. As long as you're confident, mate, of what you're doing, and as long as you've got a price that will cover for the amount of time you spend there, don't rush it. You do not want to do a whole room, mess any of it up, and have a customer decide they don't want to pay you because they're not happy. Especially if you'd rush it and that some of it was looking a bit donkey, then they'd have every right to say, "Well, so hang on a minute," and you don't want to do that. So you take it if it's a one wall at a time, the ceiling or whatever. Do one wall at a time. Don't even start putting like retarders in it and think, I'll try and bash out two. If you haven't done that before, and if you have done and you're confident, absolutely fine. But if you haven't, mate, go nice and steady. But more important than any of that is don't damage any of the decor, whether it's wallpaper or anything, anywhere else in the house. Just be careful when you're going in and out with tools, and absolutely do a pucker job of covering the floor or the carpet. I use rolls of plastic. Sometimes I use roll and stroll as well. Rolls of plastic, I cover all the rooms wall to wall, and I tape them right up tight to the skirting. So when the plastic comes up at the end, carpet looks lovely. And make sure you do that as well. Don't kind of cut corner. Do a lovely job of the plastering, and then when you kind of go to move a dirty old dust sheet, the big lump of plaster on their carpet that they've only had down for a week, which you can scrape it off and go, that'll brush out. But some people will say, no, I'm not having that. I've worked for some other customers where I think a plumber got a little bit of black water on their carpet out of a rad that they were taking off. They were coming back to sort something out as a bit of a favour for their customer, and the little bit of black water made a mark on the carpet, which probably could have been washed out, but they were quite keen that because it was new, they wanted it redone. So the poor old plumbing company had to cough up for that. So just be careful when you're doing it, mate, and good luck. Competitive fantasy sounds like a nightmare. No floor screeding after that. No, mate. No floor screeding after that. It was, I think job-wise, it's the most stressed I've ever got because, one, I wasn't used to people being so, in my opinion, unreasonable. And she had the particular customer had a massive bee in their bonnet, and I thought, given the opportunity, she might stick me in a saucepan and try and boil me to death, my sins. But yeah, I'm hoping it's been long enough that she's forgiven me for not doing it the way she would have liked me to. So I didn't even go. She didn't want me back to fix it or to put it right. So, but that was the end of that. But it was an absolute nightmare. I want a wall like a camel's back. No. I think, was I talking to you there, Joe? No, it's got to be nice and flat and smooth. Matthew, how thick is that plastic? What plastic? Oh, that plastic. Where do you get it? Also, well, there is. You should know by now, Matthew. There's a link on my site for rolls of plastic. I think it's in all my descriptions are the same. I can't be bothered to put different things on different. Videos. But in my descriptions, I'm pretty sure if it's not on one video description, it'll be on another. Is the rolls of plastic that I get or have been getting from Amazon. And obviously, through my links, we get a little bit of a kickback for that. It was a channel, which is great. And you can order anything via Amazon from one of my links, and we'll get a small percentage from whatever you spend. When you use one of my links, even if it's not to buy the particular thing that's on my link, you go on that link and then you buy something else, we still get a little kickback on it while you're still online. But the thickness, I don't know, it's fairly decent stuff. I mean, it's not silly thick like you'd use for like putting inside a wall to kind of stop like a damp membrane. It's decent stuff. It rolls out, and then once you slice the bit off, it unfolds. And unfolding it, the width of it will normally cover most rooms if you cut them lengthwise, or the other way. And I used to use masking tape, but now I use, if you can get like a 2-inch clear, like a sellotape, but cheaper than sellotape, tape it all around the edge. Just make sure it's nice and there's no joints in it. I'm not messing about chucking dirty dust sheets down on the floor. Stuff like that, which when I'm using stilts, I don't trust anyway. And although with stilts you can slip on wet plastic, got the floor too wet, you need to be careful not to get your floor too wet when you're spreading or when you're troweling up. So it's fairly decent. It's not the one that, as I've said before, that you fart and it blows away. That kind of plastic is too thin. The stuff they sell you in packets that you can chuck over a chair. General DIY might buy to cover something up with. That stuff is rubbish. It's so thin. It's ridiculous. So this stuff is fairly good. If I don't get it on Amazon, I get it from my local ironmonger. For my local trade place. From Mark Fisher's, if you're in Goshawton, or that way, or Melvin Clark's. It's about 20 quid for a roll, big roll, and it does very few jobs. Well, actually, hang on, what advice you got for Joe? I would advise starting with a wall that will eventually be covered up by furniture, like a yeah. So if it does look rough when he's finished that wall, you can say, actually, you know what? I don't want to do the other three. You just pay me for that one. Once you put the wardrobe there, it will look fine. But no, I know what you mean, mate. Yeah. If you do the first one that's going to have the most furniture in front of it, then and that comes out fine, and you're happy with that, and then just crack on with the rest. Excuse me. Oh. Right, where are we? Right, if anyone is new or just joining us, I'm Eric the Plasterer. I've been plastering for 37 years. Plasterer in South London, and here to answer any of your plastering related questions, whether you are a time-served tradesman or a newbie or someone that's in training now or going to college learning plastering on one of those courses, or a DIY who just wants to ask a question, wants any advice. There's no stupid questions as far as I'm concerned that you can ask about it. Do that. And or you can also give me a ring and talk to me here in the studio on 07516214983, 07516214983. I don't think I've got the phone on silent and I'm missing people calling. No? Okay. And ask me that way. It's been no problem at all. And while I've got a few of you here, bear with me for this, because I want, especially the regular guys, I want your opinion on this advert because it might be going on the radio. Here we go.
Plasterers! What? Here's your fix. Can't go wrong with Easy Mix. Plasterers, you've got the power to hold your setback for an hour. Put more walls on in a day. Extra time the easy way. If your plaster's dry too slow, half time is the way to go. Half time, extra time, every time. Easy Mix Plastering Additives. Control your sets, make more money.
Yeah!
Two questions. Number one, could you hear that? Because I've got no speaker in the studio. So it should be going out, but I can't tell. And if you did hear it, is it any good? Don't be too harsh. Oh dear. Right. Cheers, Diggity. You could hear it then. Yours truly. Trying his best to join the advertising world and get myself some more free Easy Mix in the bargain. Cheers, mate. I might have it turned down too low. Cheers, mate. Dear. Yeah, I might play it again before the end of the night. I might play it again. We'll see. It might be going on fixed radio, but I don't know how well they've done with their first advert that they put on there. I don't know whether they'll go with another one. But if they do, hopefully it'll be that one. If not, they might stick it on another, even more popular radio station. Because although Fix It Radio is a builder's station, it's sometimes I listen to it now and again, but I can't listen to it all day every day, if I'm honest. So I don't know much sort of work or how good the advertising is for the old station. Matthew wants me to play it again. I'm gonna play it once more. I'm just gonna turn it up a little bit just to too many people don't go away when it's playing.
Plasterers! What? Here's your fix. Can't go wrong with Easy Mix. Plasterers, you've got the power to hold your set back for an hour. Put more walls on in a day. Extra time the easy way. If your plaster's drying too slow, half time is the way to go. Half time, extra time, every time. Easy Mix Plastering Additives. Control your sets, make more money.
Yeah!
Right, I promise I won't play anymore. Oh dear. Right, where are we? Oh, all concurrent viewers. That's 0. Oh dear. Cheers, guys. Martin, I have trouble seeing imperfections in wet plaster. Only when it's dry does it shows up. I've heard some people use UV torch. I haven't used the UV torch. I would normally, yeah. Cheers, Mark. Might when it comes to when it's still wet. The only real way you can see it is to, you don't need a UV light, it's just shine any light either up it, across it, or down it, like close up, and put the light against the wall as if they've got a down light there. If it is looking a bit patchy and they are putting down lights, or there's a wall light, it's going to show up the discrepancy straight away, which is a nightmare for a lot of plasterers, because you can do what sometimes looks, even you say, even if you're a really like experienced plasterer, and pop the light on, you've only got to have a bit of a light. It's not gone quite so well. Teeny bit underneath the light shining down, mate, and or you'll see it, and the customer will definitely see it. So yeah, that's the best thing to do when it's still wet, to shine a light up it, and keep doing that. If it's like wet enough where you can still do something with it, use some fat to fill it in and trail over it a bit more, then great. Obviously, if it's gone so hard you can't do anything with it, there's not a lot you can do unless you let it dry and you're on the job long enough that it dries and you can go back and rub a bit of sandpaper over it. But you don't really want to be doing that at the end of the day. So yeah, use a light, Martin. It's the best bet at the end of the day. Shine it up at an angle. It's the same way as with outside rendering, can look fantastic until the sun shines across it at an angle and suddenly you see any ripple or defect that's there. And I've seen some pucker plasterers do some big outdoor rendering jobs before all the silicone stuff came out, but using sand and cement, and looked great. As I say, the sun shining on it, but as soon as the sun went around the corner, it started shining across it. Yeah, I saw another builder go bust over that, doing a massive job. It had loads of really good spreads on it because you were paying them because they were good to do this rendering. It was on the side of a building that so big, it's not something you would render now. You'd have some kind of paneling put up or something, probably be cheaper. And yeah, and that particular client was a massive furniture company. They weren't happy, so I think the guy went under on that one, which was sad. But that's just one of those things. But so yeah, angles of light across anything, if you think it's going to look dodgy, if it looks great with a light at an angle across it, then you're laughing. Hello, Jackie, you. How are you, mate? Yeah, it's going well, mate. It's going well. Keeping busy. I am stuffing my face a lot lately, though. I've started going back to the gym, but currently it's only been once a week as opposed to 3 times a week, and I'm finding it really hard to get back into the gist of it. But with working anyway, because obviously our job can be quite tough anyway, kind of physically. And I don't know if I was doing quite so much video type stuff back then, so I had more time in the evening to go off, shooting off to the gym for a few hours, to have a bit of a workout, nice swim, cold shower, hot sauna, does you the world of good, makes you live longer, feel fitter, feel more happy. But yeah, I've only been back once or twice since I could go back without having to wear a mask. But yeah, other than that, I am stuffing my face, and then that's it. I've got to curb the old eating because I do eat a lot of rubbish sometimes, and I think, well, I can't eat nothing else today. I've really stuffed myself, and then evening comes, and I kind of think, might have a bit of toast or a bowl of cornflakes before I go to bed, which ain't great to do anyway. But yeah, I'm suffering in that respect. Oh dear. Right, another reminder that the Ask the Plasterer Discord community server, which I plug every time I'm on here. You can just click on any of my links and get an invite to the server where you can chat to me or any of the other guys. You can put pictures up and lots of other stuff if you want to. Talk about tools, talk about works, ask questions of each other, not just me. And it's really simple to go on to and get it so you can chat with us rather than waiting to ask questions on here or making comments on the videos. Though still do that, obviously. And yeah, it's really easy and it's good. And I like it, and that's great. Trowel Talk over here, Plasterers Help Group. That is, it's got about 3,000 plus members on that Facebook group. If you want any help at all, Stuart doesn't take any, who runs it, he doesn't take any crap from anybody when it comes to, if you want to ask a question, doesn't matter what it is, and you want help as a plasterer, as a DIYer, as a newbie, there's nothing you can't ask on there. And if anyone takes the P out of your work, they'll be taken off the site. Simple as that. So, and compared to the other bigger sites on Facebook that do similar things, they seem so full of people just slagging off other tradesmen. It's just a waste of time being a member of it. But Trowel Talk is the one to go for. So, as far as Facebook help groups are for plasterers of any, even if your time served, there's loads of fantastic stuff on there. Stuart also has a plastering channel. I think the actual channel is called Trowel Talk as well. So get on there and subscribe to that as well, because it'd be nice to get that really kicking off as well as this site. Over on the top here, this is the whole stairs and landing that was a nightmare that I had to do. That was last week. And I was just glad when it was over. But yeah, you have to watch the video to see about that one. Yeah. Right. Have a change of scenery. Let's go back to the station. Hello. So when we're finished, I can shoot down the stairs, jump straight in my train and get home. Studio. I don't tell you, I was down the stairs from my bedroom to the front room. Yeah, that's what I meant. But yeah, same thing. So you can call me if you want on 07516 214 983. 07516 214 983. I'm Eric the Plasterer. I've been plastering for 37 years, and I'm here to answer any of your plastering related questions. And whether you're a newbie or a DIYer or one of the regular lads, evening lads, thanks again for all coming along. Normally do, and I'm makes me proud, and I'm touched. Always am, and appreciate it. And I love you. Yeah, no, I'm only on the Pepsi, not the beer. And yeah, I'll try my best to help you out. Don't have a Facebook. Oh, what's that? If you don't have Facebook now on Trowel Talk. Yeah, are you telling me that, mate, or are you just telling other people? You don't have a Facebook account, you're missing out on Trowel Talk. Or are you saying, Matt, oh, I don't have a Facebook account. Yeah, then if you don't, you're missing out on Trowel Talk, mate. You're missing out. Missing out big time. All sorts of stuff on there that Stuart sorts out. Because he's got more gumph than me. I don't have I've got a Facebook page, but it's not something I update on any kind of regular basis. I've got an Instagram as well, but that's hardly worth talking about. Oh dear. But I think, yeah, what am I on there? I think most of my stuff, like my website, I think it's all plasterer.org.uk, and you'll find all sorts of stuff about me. Hopefully most of it's good. No reason why it shouldn't be. Oh dear. How are we doing for time? 7:50. That's not too bad. Excuse my squeaky chair, I still haven't oiled it. I've tried desperately not to slap my thighs tonight, and I think I've managed it. Off from then. There's just a demonstration. That's it. nice relaxing picture. Sit back and ask questions if you want. Put something up there. Give us your opinion of a tool that you might really love, or a tool that you don't like at all. You think's an absolute gimmick. At any point, if Anthony's on here tonight, Anthony Parry, and if you've had that Carter Easy Skim in yet, mate, I'd like your view on it. You've seen my review. I've had a go. I think you did say you had one coming, so but you've gone a bit quiet. So I don't know if you haven't used it yet, or if you might not be that keen. But let us know, mate. Let us know. Who's that? Joel? Plastering and rendering. Oh, Joel. Oh, you're Joel. Yeah. Oh, nice. Oh, hello, Joel. If you go back on my... Oh, this is Plasterer. This is Master Plasterer 19, is it now? And if you go back to about 3 or 4, there's a big picture of you on there, mate. And it says, if you need rendering done, Joel's your man. That's the only other Joel I know that's in the trade. So, yeah, welcome along, Joel. Nice to see you, mate. Yeah, this is generally me waffling about. I've been spreading for 37 years. I'm in South London, and guys just come along to ask me questions, but it's open to newbies, to DIYers, to time-served guys like yourself that just want to ask anything that's plastering related. If I can answer it or give you my opinion on something, then I will. Not that my opinion's gospel, but I like to give it. Who doesn't? And yeah, and a lot of the guys are regulars to come along. I do this every other Monday from 7 o'clock. Normally go on for about half an hour. Yeah, no worries, Joe, no worries. And yeah, mate, it's quite a bit of fun. Some days you really feel like doing it, and other days you just don't. Some days it's nice and relaxed, and other days I've literally just rushed in from work to set up the camera and start going for it. But I found there weren't a lot of guys in the live streaming thing. A while back, I thought, well, I'll give it a try, and if we've got more than 3 people that want to have a chat, then we'll see how it goes. And yeah, it's been good, and I've enjoyed it. The guys seem to like it, and I've got this thing here. There's a link in my. You could join that, Joel, if you want. It's a Discord server. It's Ask the Plasterer community. It's like a forum. If you click on one of mine, there's a link in all of my videos in the description for this, and it will send you an invite, and you can join that, and then you can chat with me, any of the other spreads that come along to this, and a lot of all the guys kind of know each other quite well, or starting to. And yeah, you can put pictures up and all sorts of stuff, mate. So you're happy to join us on there? That'd be nice. Nice. Silver, yeah. Anybody boycotted B&Q yet? Because their prices are through the roof. So has anybody gone back using builders merchants now? I use the builders merchants up the road for quite a few bits because it's cheaper anyway. But I think they buy their plaster from B&Q when they stock up. So obviously they're adding on. So whatever B&Q are charging, my local place it will be more expensive. So I'm still going to B&Q at the minute. I haven't really, because I just chuck stuff on a trolley and whack the old card in. Sometimes I'm not concentrating on whether they've suddenly whacked the price of something up. So I will check on what the plaster's doing at the minute, price-wise. Their angle beads have been ridiculously expensive for a while. Still got a massive box of angle beads I ordered off through Amazon, the old garage, so they should see me for a while. Thankfully, guys, so far, touch wood, with the shortages that seems to be in everything else, that tradesmen are trying to get hold of. Plaster at the moment seems to be absolutely fine. I know they make it here, but although they make it here, we still had issues with it before, didn't we? When I go into, whether it's B&Q or whatever, it still seems to have absolute stacks of it piled up, which is great considering. Is cement still tough to get? Because I'm not doing a lot of stuff with cement, so I don't take a lot of notice when I go and buy my gear, whether the cement's still like empty shelves or whether it's getting back to something like slightly normal or not. But no, short answer, I haven't boycotted B&Q yet, mate. But if their prices are getting really ridiculous, then I might consider it. Mark, top of that horse there's a landing was like a time capsule. Oh yeah, I think that was 50s wallpaper up there, mate. The customer was a bit worried how they were going to get it off. I said, don't worry, I will lend you my ladder. Because I didn't really want to do that as well. I just hadn't allowed enough time for it, and I just wasn't anticipating doing quite as much. So initially the quote for that was just to do the walls before this was all going to be taken down, and then the ceiling as well, and then take out that false ceiling and do what's hidden behind it, which was that. But it's all over now. I try not to think about it. It gives me nightmares. Martin, why don't you and Joel team up and do a joint live stream? Could be a laugh. Yeah, well, I'm up for there's quite a few guys that would like to do like it's setting it up so it's quality and it doesn't go kind of like funny, and there's ways of doing it that are a little bit complicated. I've got the hang around this so far. I've done one video where I chatted with another guy, but we had to do that on a Zoom meeting, and I had to cut it from the Zoom meeting and then make it bigger. And the best way to be able to do that is if you're both filming something with the same, with your own kind of very decent camera. And yeah, I'll chat with Joel and some of the other guys that want to do it as well. And I will mention, I don't know if we mentioned it here, I think me and some of the other guys on here talked about having a bit of a Beano one weekend and all meeting up and going for not a booze up, for a training, not a train. It's kind of like, yeah, let's learn more about plastering, but in the pub or in some nice pub come B&B over a weekend and yeah, talk and discuss the fine art of plastering and over a few beers. But so that is something that would be quite nice to put in the pipeline. So I'm just putting it out there to give you guys the heads up on it. Yeah, yeah. Let me know your views. Zoltar, better late than never. Oh, you just got here again, Zoltar. What are you doing, mate? What are you doing? You working late? Taking on too much work? I've had trousers soaked all weekend. They're like new. I get saying I'll do that, and then I just completely forget. I mean, when I finish the job, if I've had a really busy week and I'm finishing on a Friday, especially if I finished late, which I did like the last Friday I finished was a silly time I won't even mention, and I get back and then if I'm not working again till Monday, I just shut the van with any rubbish that's in there, and I think, yeah, I'll worry about that Monday morning. So, I mean, trousers are probably buried under all the rubbish. So yeah, the chances of me actually taking them out and going over the weekend, I'm going to soak those because it'll make them much easier to clean. And I tell you what, my speed skins could do with a clean. I'm a bit ashamed to have them on video at the moment because of what people might say. Like, have you ever wiped them off with a brush, or you just let them set and then go on to the next job? Which isn't quite that bad, but yeah. Yeah. Where should we go over it? Oh dear. Oh yeah. Diggity. What size is that small trowel you were using around that loft hatch? Not quite. Measurement wise, I'm not quite sure. It's about 6 inches by 2 inches. I mean, you can buy this specifically. They do that size of trowel. I don't think they do a slightly bigger or a slightly smaller. If you get like a miniature Marshalltown, more or less be that roughly 6 by 2. But obviously it's great for getting in places like you see on that video. But it is a bit more rigid. I think just because it's small. But then again, you don't really want it to be flexible. It's a Marshalltown trowel. It's not a filling knife of any sort at the end of the day. But yeah, but doing like most plasters, they're doing those little bits around the edge of architraves, around doors and around loft hatches. I mean, you've got to do them because it's part of the game. I think I said on there, just give me a nice big flat wall, preferably with no sockets in it. Just a big flat wall, no light switches, no wires, no nothing. Dreamland. Dear. Martin, cement is fine here in Kent. Hard wall is a different story. Yeah, I don't know. It's I can't remember which guys are in or near London to ask about it. But I think if the cement, so there's no issue at all in Kent then, Martin. If there isn't, then I assume it must be kind of hopefully somewhere back to normal. Oh, I'm assuming the price has gone up, like everything else has gone up. Not as bad. Carpenters seem to have it the worst when it comes to timber. Timber's literally gone up like 100% in a lot of cases. Like something that was £2 is £4, 10 quid is now 20 quid, etc., etc. And I think that's absolutely crazy. It's in tight demand, and I suppose it's just the way it goes. But you try to price the job up as a carpenter, and the price of the raw materials is going through the roof. You can't really give someone a price well in advance because, unless you say that could drastically alter on the material side by the time it comes to doing your job. For us, it shouldn't be too bad. Again, I mean, it's passed on. It should be passed on to the customer anyway. But you shouldn't be doing yourself in as the prices of something goes up. You just have to add that little bit more onto your price at the end of the day. Doing it, or I mean, my prices are my plaster all mixed in as one. But sometimes it could pay to put the price of the plaster that you're buying up there. And look, well, this is what it's costing. Plus, I'm charging you a bit for carriage because I'm the guy picking it up and bringing it to your house. Which, if you wanted someone else to do that, there'd probably some kind of charge involved. So, yeah. Another thing a lot of customers don't realise is when you're starting their job at 8, that you might be getting up at 6 or earlier and going to pick up gear to take to that job if you haven't picked it up the night before. Which, if you're really busy, you probably haven't got the time to do. And it's all it's a bit mad. They don't seem to, your day doesn't really start at 8 when you walk through their door. It starts when you get out of bed. But it's more difficult to put across. But yeah, because it's not just the commute to where you're going. It's the fact that you probably have to get up a lot earlier to pick up stuff, and all the humping about that you do before you even get to a job. Let's face it, guys. It might be good for you as exercise, but it's a lot of work. You can be pretty knackered before you even start mixing it out and putting it on someone's wall. But, especially if a lot of jobs I do, especially if they're in a flat. Tend to be the slightly smaller flats that, because there's only 3 floors or 4 floors, don't have a lift. And the flat I do always seems to be on the top floor for some reason. And I've really got to teach myself to add on quite a bit more for those, because extra time that they take to take all your gear up there and bring it all down again, and any rubbish that you're bringing out and up and down the stairs, it just takes so much longer. And if, like I often am not charging enough for doing that, and just cut my own throat, really. You're going to kill yourself. You've got to charge a bit more for it. But sometimes that's easier said than done. Sometimes easier said than done. Mark, 8x3 the midget show. Oh, is it 8x3? Is it 8x3? Really 3 inches across the top end? I mean, it's in my car. I can't be bothered to take the rubbish out to get to it, mate, to bring it in or have a measure of it. But yeah, it might be 8x3. Or the one, I'm assuming the one I've got's the same. Joel, that's in London. What's it like working in London? Joel, I'm in like Sutton, Croydon kind of area. It's work. I'm assuming you seem to, when I've seen some of your videos, Joe, you seem to be like really busy, mate, as far as I can tell. Working in London. What's it like? It's not too bad because I mean Sutton, Croydon. It's not suburbia, but it's not like right in town. I mean, I don't do jobs right in town because they're not worth the hassle that you can't get parked anywhere. If you can get somewhere to park, it's silly money. Per hour or per day, or you can only stay there for 2 hours and you've got to go and you can't come back for at least another 2 hours. And but just plastering in and around this particular area, probably much like plastering up your neck of the woods, mate. It's jobs, there might be a bit more density of potential customers that want stuff doing. I only do domestics. I mean, when I was plugging your your channel. It's off the back of the fact that I don't really do any outdoor work anymore because I don't like it that much anyway. I was okay at it, but never brilliant. And the weather was just always been so unpredictable in England. You got to start booking a job in the summer. So I'd book out an outdoor rendering job. It was going to take me a week. I'd book in that specific week, and that particular week, even if it was midsummer, buckets down with rain every single day, and I can't really do that. And I ended up basically losing a week's money and thinking, well, how am I going to reschedule this if you've already booked other work on either side of it? So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to stick to internal work. So I'm purely a domestics internal man, and I only rarely do outside stuff. If a customer begs me, and it's not too much, or they're willing to pay anything for me to do it. But generally, mate, I'll give them this, or if they're anywhere near you, mate, I'll just give them your website or your YouTube channel or your phone number. Yeah. I don't know if that's answered any of your questions, Joel. Silver, what would you record? What would you record? Is that just part of a question, Silver, that one? Diggity, I can only find 8x3, but still seems a bit big for them tight areas. Yeah, no, I'm sure mine's about 6x2. Thing is, I've had it a fair while. I can't remember where I bought it. Okay? I don't think it was B&Q, because B&Q never seemed to sell any decent trails of any, excuse me, any description. Like they might do some Marshall Towns, but I don't think they do the small ones. Yeah, you'd have to dig around. I will get the thing out and measure it and find exactly what size the one I'm using. They must still do them that size, unless they weren't very popular and they've stopped. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's only about 2x6 rather than 3. I'm assuming we're talking inches here because I'm talking in old money. Joel, yeah, totally, mate. I like London and respect that domestic internally is guaranteed and nice work. It is, mate, and as I've got older and I was lazy is probably not the right word, just more knackered, wearing out. I've been plastering for like 37 years. Get to a stage where you think, I'm not doing weekends, I'm not working outside, and I put retarders in my plaster, not to get more done, but because I can do the job a bit slower. I've only been using them for about 6 months, but I thought, I'll use something to speed up my plaster. I'm not going to use anything to slow it down. I can knock up 2 bags and whack it on before it goes off like a normal speed. But then I realised, well, if I did stick a packet of that in, I could just go a bit slower. And so that's mostly why I use retarder in my finish when I'm skimming, so I can go a bit slower. I think I probably mention that every time I'm on here. But yeah, so yeah, the easiest life possible, mate, that I can possibly do. Yeah. Oh. Right, hang on. Go back to another screen. I can see that right in a bit. I don't want to miss anybody out, yeah? I know I'm going to cope if the site gets it. Can I go back on this? Hang on a minute, guys. I'm just trying to. I don't want to miss anybody's question. Michael, you avoid rendering like the plague. Yeah, join the club, mate. Join the club. Margin trails are narrow. Yeah, you can get margin trails, but obviously they're not like a trail, but you can get them all different sizes. It's probably your best bet. It doesn't have to be a miniature Marshall trail. I just happened to have one. It just happened to fit in that particular gap when I was doing that one in that video. So what would you recommend, Silver? What would you recommend for a solid party brick wall, like between a pair of semi-detached houses? Do sound panel plasterboards do the job, or would you insulate plasterboard? if you're looking at, you're doing it for a customer and they want soundproofing, you can pay all different amounts of money for different types of soundproofing that goes behind, goes on the wall. You put a stud work up, you put the soundproofing in, and then you put a plasterboard, or maybe even an insulated plasterboard on top of that as well. But some sounds, it just doesn't stop. I mean, the particular one that I did, I think it was only 2 alcoves on a small wall in a cottage, because the guy next door played violin, and once it was all done, they didn't. A lot of it can stop bass sounds, but if you've got a guy with a screechy violin next door, it didn't work very well. So they were a bit disappointed, but that wasn't because everything I'd done. Just that some things, and you can get sound travels through gaps in floorboards above and or under floors below. So if that's still a place where there's voids where the sound can echo, doesn't matter how kind of soundproof you make the wall, it'll just escape from the top and the bottom. Obviously, if it's for just keeping it warmer, then depending on how much insulation you use on your boards, they've all got varying degrees, haven't they, which you can look up. Guys, Joel, I often get people wanting to get bigger commercial projects asking questions. I'm like, stated domestic, better margins. Yeah, Joel, if you, I mean, some guys, if you want to, you had a bit of a business, a fairly big business before, didn't you? You're growing a new one now, but yeah, if you want to like grow in that department, you take on bigger and bigger jobs, don't you? But with each bigger job you take on, you're taking on more risk, you're taking on more guys, and it once years ago, but it just wasn't for me. I found it too stressful. I was getting rashes on the palms of my hands and under my feet. I thought I was allergic to the kids' bunny rabbit, but it turned out it was just stress of trying to run a small plastering company. And I think I made less money than I did when I was just on the tools on my own. So yeah, I still clear. If I get any people contacting me about big or commercial jobs or houses that are going up, we've got 3 houses in Weybridge, they want plastering. Yeah, but you want a gang in there, mate, because I'm a one-man band. So, unless you've got 3 or 4 years for me to do it. Okay, it doesn't take me that long. Cheers, Joe. Diggity. We'll have a look. Oh, okay. Michael, have you tried the speed? I've tried the speed skim finishing blade. Yeah, I use a 900mm fuzzy flex for flattening. It's a lifesaver. It takes away so much labour. Hang on. You talking about this, Michael? You talking about the speed skim, the metal blade on a speed skim, or are you talking a trowel? I'm assuming you're talking about like a long spatula speed skim metal blade on, which I use that just like a 2-handed flexi blade when I'm troweling up. But I only use it when I'm troweling up and spraying some water on, because it draws that water to the surface. Lovely for troweling up. Not good for running over any plaster when it's wet, because it draws that moisture to the surface. Gets too wet, you end up with blistering and all sorts of stuff, and not being very flat. So, but if that's what you mean, yeah, I've got one of those and I do that. But yeah, no, it's nice. And then I'll finish off with my I've got an Ox Ultraflex trowel, and I'll finish off after that using that, just because I'm so used to using that at the end. I won't leave a trowel just under a speed skim. Too nervous. I might have missed a bit. Oh, Tony. I'm a DIYer. Hello, my friend. When fitting a plasterboard ceiling, do you need to leave a gap around the edges where it joins the wall and also where the boards butt together? Technically, Tony, you don't have to leave a gap around the edge. You can butt a plasterboard against the wall. I butt plasterboards against the wall. I've done for years. Technically, you're meant to leave a mil or so many mil, couple of mil gap in between plasterboards when you're doing the ceiling. Again, sometimes I do. Sometimes my boards are butted up tight. I don't go for trying to make the gap, because when I'm putting up balls, working on my own, I use 6x3 foot balls because they're much easier to operate and get in and out of people's houses without damaging any of their decor. And I've got the old props to get them in place with your head, put the old props in, get them where you want them, screws in, and I will push them up so one's touching the other. If I did that and I thought, I haven't got the 2mm gap, and you're trying to adjust a ball to bring it out so you've got a 2mm gap, you can put things in, these things you can buy to stick in to make sure you've got a 2mm gap, but they're just time consuming and not something you would use. You could use as a DIY, I suppose, fair enough. But technically it's meant to be a gap, but 9 times out of 10, I'm butting my plasterboards. As long as you use a fiberglass scrim tape on all of your joints, and ideally you make sure you break your joints like you've got a broken bond, like when you're building a brick wall. Don't put 2 plasterboards like this or not on top of each other. Stagger them so you have got that brickwork bond your boards. And try and use whole boards when you can. Don't start putting little pieces everywhere. But they've got to span at least a couple of joists anyway. You can butt them up, mate. I've never had a problem when I've butted up plasterboards because 90% of my ceilings I've boarded are butted up tight. Sometimes there's a little gap, but because I know it's all right to have a gap, then I just leave the gap. But not massive. If it's a massive gap, I might whack a bit of bonding in it. But that would only possibly sometimes be around the edge, depending on how the old ceiling. If the old ceiling's been taken down, it's the right rough old job around the edge. Sometimes you can just go right into the brickwork with the plasterboard, and then when you're patching up around the top of the ceiling, that goes up and covers the board, edge board, so the board's disappearing into the board. But if you're overboarding something, if there's a little gap, as long as you can put some tape across it, or if you're doing the walls as well, you can put fiberglass tape around, off the top, and then down the wall a little bit. A nice kind of seal of fibre tape there. Parts of the wall as well, but if not, you could just do some butted up against the wall. That was a long answer to a short question. I hope that helps, Tony. Michael, domestics is the way forward. Anything else is slave labour. Yeah, that's free skin. I use the plastic blade for ruling off my first coat, and then when the second coat's on, and it's at that stage where I'm going to start troweling it up or thinking about putting some on it, I'll use the metal blade and run that across, up, down. That does a lovely job of getting it nice and flat. And then at the very end, I will generally go up and down my Ultraflex Ultraflex trowel, and job done. Right, we're on the time, 8:23. Right, guys, I'm going to carry on till about 8:30. Gordon, hello, Gordon. Do you do sponge float plaster? Short answer is no, I don't do sponge coat plaster. Some guys love sponging their finish. Some guys absolutely hate sponging. Some guys think you should definitely do it, and other guys think there's absolutely no point to sponging. I don't know if you want to sponge and you're happy sponging, that's absolutely fine. I've never done. I did sponging when I was learning, but out in the field, I never sponged anything. I just didn't like the like it all just starting to look nice, and then whack a sponge on it and wet it, start putting all these swirls in it, and oftentimes then you trowel it up and it will be nice and flat and smooth, but you could kind of see that swirl in it, and I just didn't like it, so I never did it. I've never had any issues. There's some guy, I think he's got a channel, it's like SpongeBob or no SpongeBob SquarePants, and he is so anti-sponging, you wouldn't believe. You only have to see one of his videos to see that. But it's something like it's probably like no SpongeBob SquarePants or something. So so I don't personally do sponge floating. Absolutely nothing wrong with it, but I found it was just an extra thing to do on a wall, that if you didn't need to do it, get a wall finished a little bit quicker. It will bring it back slightly. It brings a lot of the fat out, but then when I'm troweling up a wall with my speed skin blade, or whether it's with my Marshalltown or my flexible blade at the end. The amount of fat that's coming off of that would be more than enough to fill any small discrepancies, if there are any, in the wool. That sponging it up is just quite another job. So, I mean, for me, if it was taking more time and it meant I was going to get less done or wasn't going to get the job finished in that particular day, then I wouldn't spend the time sponging it as well. But like a lot of other things, if someone loves doing something plastering wise their particular way, I mean, to be honest, if you get used to doing something your way, then and you're happy with that and it looks great and the customer's happy, then in my opinion, there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing it that way. And you tend to feel whatever way you do something, especially if, like me, if you've done it for like 37 years, you think, well, yeah, my way's the best way. But then that's how every guy thinks about how he does the job at the end of the day. If he's always done it that way, if a guy's been sponging for 37 years, you'll go, oh, my work comes out beautiful, I've sponged for 37 years. And then you'll get the likes of me saying the complete opposite. I've been doing it for 37 years, but I've never sponged and I've never had a problem. To me, it's just more hassle. So, but yeah. So, Gordon, I hope that answered your question. I don't personally sponge float, but yeah, you're more than happy to if you want to. Michael, are you agreeing with me, or you think, or are you saying, yeah, sponge floating is the way to go? I don't know. If anyone has just joined us, I'm Eric the Plasterer. This is After Plasterer. I've been plastering for 37 years. In South London. We meet up here every other Monday from 7 o'clock. Normally go on till about 8:30. You can ask me any plastering related questions, whether you're a DIY, time served tradesman, newbie, customer, anything at all. Let's have a quick change of scenery. You can, even at this late time, you can ring me if you want to talk to me on 07516 214 983. Because I've got a phone on into the studio. Mostly people that are watching me on the telly box do that, because if you're watching this on your phone and you're typing on your phone, you can't really ring me without hanging up the YouTube. So it seems pointless. So yeah, but if it's possible for you to ring and you want to ring with a question, you can do that. Sip of Coke. Sorry, quick sip of Pepsi. I'm not expecting to get any free cans. Where are we at? 28. Mark. Yeah, right. Mark. Dan Solo is your man that hates the sponge, Eric. Oh, is it Dan Solo? Is he? Is he the one that puts the like SpongeBob cartoon on his little videos or pictures or whatever he does? If it is, mate, he makes me laugh. Oh dear. Right, guys, it's probably a good idea to quit while we're ahead. If there's no immediate questions coming in, we're coming up to 8:30, so I'm probably going to knock it on the head, and so this isn't too long. This also goes out afterwards, not tonight, but probably tomorrow night. Goes out as a podcast, so you can have a listen back at work. All of these have gone up as podcasts. Wherever you get your podcast from, you can definitely get them on Spotify. Just search for Ask the Plasterer. And they should pop up there, and you can pop your earphones in. You haven't got to have YouTube open. There's no adverts, and you can just listen to my dulcet tones. Unless you listen to one of the shows where some people ring in, and then you can listen to their dulcet tones as well. Right, so we're quite a night, guys. Quit while you're ahead, that's what I say. Well, there's lots of people watching, and I will see you either in a fortnight's time on a Monday, 7 o'clock. Or don't forget, don't go yet. Oh, where are you going? Get on the community description. My descriptions have got a link to this community server. Just click on it and it will send you an invite, and you can chat to me on there. You can put pictures up. You can chat to all the other guys that come along to Ask the Plasterer. And it's just a nice place to be and to be part of. And we're a friendly bunch. And as I say, we're possibly going to organise some kind of get-together that involves possible drink in a pub or something to eat, or a geezer's weekend away. I'll keep you posted on that one. But any ideas you've got, I'm happy to listen to and discuss. Right. Cheers, Joel. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for watching, mate. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm going to go and have a nosy at your site again now, mate. I haven't seen any of your latest videos, but I will now. Right. Okay, look for me off button. Cheers everyone for coming. Thanks all the regular guys. Yeah, as I always say, I just really appreciate it, and yeah, it's just nice to have a chat on a Monday night. Cheers Matthew, cheers Joel, cheers Silver, cheers Diggity, cheers Mark, cheers Michael, cheers Gordon. Anyone else is off the list, but yeah, everyone else is probably going. Started to go now anyway. And as ever, I struggle to find the old "I'm going now" button. That one there. Hopefully, when I click this button next, it's going to go all dark and I shall disappear. And hopefully, you won't hear me waffling on because I haven't turned my mic off. But you might. So I'll see you either on the forum, back here in a fortnight's time on a Monday from 7. Or on any of my videos or in the descriptions. I read all my my comments, so yeah, comments in the old videos, give me your opinions on stuff, and I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Bye for now. Don't work too hard and don't work weekends unless you really have to. Cheers guys.